All right, folks, welcome to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Raptors back out on the road. It just seems like we never get any traction anywhere, although maybe we get it because it's a week in, a week out. Start of another 3-game road trip for the Raptors, Minnesota, Indiana, and then on to Atlanta before home next week to play these same Minnesota Timberwolves. And Eric, somebody's going to get well tonight. The Raptors are sitting on a 10-game losing streak, and the Timberwolves, much like the Raptors, sitting on a 6-game losing streak with losses to some good opponents, quality opponents.
Much like last night.
Very narrow ones. I mean, they lose to Utah last night by 8. They lose to Houston by 4. There's a loss by 9 to Orlando in there. A team that's an overtime loss to OKC where Kevin Durant has to score 47 to beat them. Look, somebody's going to get well and justify how, well, good they've been playing, how well they've been playing lately without a victory.
Well, I think as much as Minnesota needs it, I don't know if it's fair to say, but I think it's legit. Toronto needs it more because you talk about some of the, and listen, anybody that's about to say this, we believe the same thing. Close doesn't matter. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. That's it. That's the only time close matters. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day that they've kept it close, that they've battled, that they've had a lot of single-digit losses, overtime losses, looking at last night. This team has battled. They've continued to play hard. I don't think they're quitting. I certainly don't believe they're tanking like some of you out there believe, because I don't think you can convince any one of those guys in the locker room, let alone the coaches, to tank and go for a draft pick, no matter, not knowing where that draft pick might land and who that draft pick might be, and if that guy's ultimately going to be a good player, and if he's going to fit into your system, and all those intangibles.
Or if they're even going to be here when that draft pick becomes a factor. That's not an issue.
Yeah, perfect example, Jonesy. DeMar DeRozan, he's 40, almost 50 games into his sophomore year. By the time, let's just for example say, Kyrie Irving comes to the
there you go.
Raptors.
Everybody's going crazy.
He's in a Raptor uniform. Great.
Perry Jones, whoever.
I'd love to see it as well. But when Kyrie Irving is making that much of an impact on a young Raptor team, and this team is then taking that next step to being a first-round, second-round conference championship type team, is DeMar DeRozan still here? Has he re-signed the extension? Has he been traded? Where's Bargnani? Do you care? Is there somebody else in? It's such an intangible that you can't tell me that players and coaches are actually going out there and throwing ball games and tanking. They simply might not be, and maybe it's not even might, based on the fact they've lost 10 in a row. They are simply not talented enough right now to compete, to close out games. And whether it's mental or whether it's the actual skill itself on the floor, they're simply not talented enough. But they are not intentionally going out and losing games and tanking for more ping pong balls. Because ask the Boston Celtics if tanking works. And we've talked about that a million times.
Every time.
They were supposed to get Greg Oden, and the world would be saved. The next great big man in the NBA is going to save the franchise. The long history of big men in Boston. They lose out. The world is ending. Paul Pierce wants out of town. But they end up getting Jeff Green. They flip him for Ray Allen. They make another deal for Kevin Garnett. And suddenly, after a 24-win season, boom, they're right back. The storied Boston Celtics. You forget it was just a few years ago that they were amongst the dregs in the NBA.
And the same way people in Boston wanted to get rid of Doc Rivers, now the genius card in his back pocket is good for life.
Steve Javie got rid of him last night.
Yeah. So anyway, look, the Timberwolves present some real challenges tonight, though. Let's not beat around the bush here. When you look at two teams very similar, almost like looking in the mirror. A couple of young pieces that are very important. You talk about Beasley and Kevin Love. Kevin Love having a fabulous year, a guy who's may get all-star consideration. And I know some of you laugh at this. If they have to vote for a true center in the East, besides Dwight Howard, who's the guy that plays center that they're going to vote for? I think coaches may look at that and game planning for him, he might be getting some votes. So that being said, though, you've got a young team with guys like Corey Brewer and people developing. And, oh, by the way, this Minnesota squad that a lot of people said, oh, yeah, get the draft picks and try and build. That's where they are, and they're even worse off than Toronto when you look at, hey, they've got Kevin Love. They've got Michael Beasley, who was a number 2 pick overall. They've got Corey Brewer, Johnny Flynn, Wesley Johnson. They're jammed with lottery picks. Now the process
begins. And Rubio,
begins.
who's not even playing, that they could try and flip for something, right?
Now the process begins. And I think, honestly, and Eric and I have always thought this, one of the most overrated things is building for the future. Just try to build, period, and take your time and do it properly. I think that's more prudent than looking way, way down the road.
All right, and if some of you right now are wondering why are they dressed like
this?
That? Now, it's not like we're usually in a 3-piece suit for these things, but we're in our gym shorts and our overall gym attire, because we were battling for about 90 minutes down in the gym today with a group of 16-year-old kids that they saw the old men playing. There was Jonesy, myself, Troy Clara, and Johnny Russin from the TV crew. And they saw those old men down there playing. They came over all like, come on,
you guys want to play 4-on-4?
So we ended up taking them the first 2 games. I think they were up 5-1 in the first game.
Yeah, we came
back and won 11-5.
If any of you have ever seen the episode where Richie Cunningham on Happy Days loses his money, and
half our audience probably wasn't even alive.
Google it. And then Howard, his dad, goes to play poker with them and lets them kind of feel good about winning a few hands from him. So
we won 11-5, then I think 11-3, and then we actually lost the third one. We got hammered in the third one, and then went and beat them again 11-8 in the final game, or 11-9, something like that in the final game. So 3 out of 4. And the funniest thing was, I mean, I'm the youngest of the old men out there, and I had a nasty collision in the last game with one of the kids. And he
had a great line.
I didn't even hear him, but you can go ahead. I didn't hear it, but I mean, I was definitely feeling it after the midair collision. And
Eric going hard to the hoop, hammered midair. The guy was giving him the no layup rule, and the other guy said to him on his team, "Hey, easy man, don't hurt the old man."
If they only knew.
Old men 3, young kids 1. Always goes to show. Experience counts for something. Folks, tonight,
and that ties into what we were talking about, right?
Pre-game tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Game tonight at 8 o'clock. Sportsnet Radio Fan 590.